Well, I mean, it's a bit of a whipsaw effect, Tim, because automakers during the Biden administration, when they really toughened standards, spent billions creating infrastructure for EV factories and battery factories. And all of that is losing the money now because President Trump has done away with the EV, what he called the EV mandate, right? He took away the $7,500 consumer tax credit for buying an electric vehicle. But more importantly, he also zeroed out the penalties for not meeting fuel economy standards or emission standards, which is saving the automakers billions because now they can build whatever they want with no penalty.
So does that mean automakers are going to be like, woohoo, like, let's go ahead and like change everything that we've done over the last how many years or decades? Or are they going to say, wait a minute, that horse has left the barn, if you will, and we're not going to change anything. We sell globally. There are restrictions maybe in other markets. Like, how does this play out? Because design changes cost an automaker something, right?
It does. But so far, the reaction, particularly to zeroing out the penalties, is they're overjoyed because now they can sell their most gas guzzling and most profitable vehicles, large SUVs, big pickup trucks, and make more money. So that's good news to them. In fact, today, GM's CFO, Paul Jacobson, was speaking at a UBS conference, and he compared the loss of the $7,500 tax credit to the gain they get from zeroing out penalties for not meeting those standards. And he referred to that $7,500 tax credit as a drop in the bucket compared to the cost of the penalties they've faced. GM alone had set aside $2 billion last year to buy credits from companies like Tesla to remain compliant with those standards.
Carbon credits, right? Is that what we're talking about? Or
they are fuel economy and emission credits.
Okay.
You have to buy them. If you want to sell a big SUV, you have to either sell an equivalent EV, or if you can't do that, you buy credits from companies that are selling EVs. And that's how you balance it out and meet the regulation.
Okay, so help us keep track of all the numbers here, because we're talking about fuel economy credits. We're talking about these companies saving money as a result of these penalties not being in place. But how much have they allotted and allocated for tariffs this year?
Right. So it is a changing dynamic. Initially, they thought the tariff bite would be worse, but it is still in the billions, Tim. It's not chump change, but the promise they see of not having to meet regulatory credit financial obligations is balancing that out for them. I mean, at today's White House announcement, you're getting big automotive executives. Ford CEO Jim Farley is there, supporting these latest moves by the Trump administration.
So net, if we're just thinking about the cost that these automakers have this year and next year, as a result of tariffs, as a result of this penalty being removed, are they kind of in the same place they were in before the tariffs were announced?
No, not immediately, because they have to now dismantle or scale back this massive EV infrastructure they built. They don't need all these factories. Again, wow. Paul Jacobson today saying they geared up to build 1 million EVs and they're selling about 150,000. So they have to take, as GM already did in the third quarter, they have to take these big charges to write off the billions in investment and not go forward with some programs or some plans.
Keith, forgive me, we only have a couple of minutes, but Carol and I were talking about this. It's like, you described it as whiplash. What happens if the next president gets into office and says, wait a second, the Biden administration had it right? Guys, are they have to go and rebuild all this infrastructure?
Well, I think a lot of the brick and mortar is up and standing there, so they would have to crank it up again. But, they're cutting programs, too. There's models that are going away or that will never hit the market, and they'd have to get those going again. So this is the problem with the industry being led by regulation, is you can go back and forth like this.
So what's better for consumers? Because I know initially, and I'm looking at the reporting that you and the team have done on all of this, that apparently the standards that are being targeted by President Trump were predicted to have cut gasoline consumption by almost 70 billion gallons through 2050. And according to the Biden administration, would have saved U.S. consumers more than $23 billion in fuel costs. That would translate to about $600 in savings over an individual vehicle's lifetime. So I don't know. will the vehicles cost a lot less now? Are they going to spend? Will gas prices maybe go? Like, I don't know. How do you unpack that?
Well, the Trump administration in their press release today is saying this will lower the cost of a car by $1,000 for the average family, taking billions out of the cost because they feel prices will go down now since EVs are more expensive than traditional internal combustion engine cars. The average price of a car should come down. Critics are saying, now because the auto industry will sell more gas guzzlers, that means consumers will be paying more at the pump, not just paying a higher price at the pump, but buying more gas because they don't have the option of going EV.
So I don't know what insight you have on this, and I know you guys have a ton, but I am curious when Ford and GM and Stellantis, their heads are going and meeting with the president. I mean, what do they care more about? Is it these standards or like the tariff situation? And just got about 30, 40 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, they don't love tariffs, but they're figuring out how to bake them into their cost structure. So, almost a year in, they're getting used to that. They really like less regulation. That's an evergreen, I think, with industry in general. So if the fuel economy standards are lowered, they're happy with that.
God, it's just wild.
State of California, not going to come and say you got to do certain things?
Yeah, like what about California?
Just 30 seconds.
Yeah, California is sort of in the balance here, and right now they're trying to continue to be the leader in this, but they're kind of losing the battle at the moment.